Welcome everyone and thanks for joining me in the studio. It's presidential activities. We start by looking at the main point. Sahel regional leaders have resolved to set up a joint counter-terrorism terrorism force to tackle jihadist threat. The decision was made Monday, February 2017, when the G group of 5 leaders of the Sahel region gathered for a summit in Bamako, Mali. In Liberia, Liberia's President Helen Johnson Sirleaf has ordered a 60-day ban on foreign travel for government officials to curb the country's depleted foreign currency reserves. Thank you, and if you're just joining us, it is presidential activities. We start by talking the group of 5 summit that took place in Mali's capital city of Bamako. Leaders from Mali, Ibrahim Boubacar Keita, Charles Idriss Déby Itno, Niger's Mamadou Issoufou, Burkina Faso Roch Marc Christian Kabore, and Mauritanian Mohamed Ould Abdelaziz have resolved to set up a joint counter-terrorism force to tackle jihadist threat. The announcement was arrived at a summit in Bamako, Mali. 5 countries in South Africa's Sahel region, the G5 Mali, Chad, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mauritania, met on Monday, barely 3 weeks after a suicide bomb attack left almost 80 people dead on January 18 in the northern Malian city of Gao. President Déby said the members of the group of 5 were on the front line against terrorism. Niger's President Sport said the United Nations Security Council approval and a United Nations resolution will be requested before the force could be set up. Let's take you now to Tanzania. Still in brief, President John Magufuli of Tanzania has told the security forces to arrest and prosecute anyone caught in the drug trade and that no one was above the law. In this war against narcotics, no one is too prominent to be arrested, even if they are politicians, security officers, cabinet ministers, or the child of a prominent person, Magufuli told the security chiefs at a meeting. He is reported to have added that even his wife was, if caught peddling drugs, the law should take its course. Even if my wife Janet is involved, she should be arrested, the president added. In a statement on Monday, President Magufuli, nicknamed the bulldozer, commended the police for suspending junior officers suspected of drugs trafficking. He, however, tasked that the clampdown be expanded to get big fishes and top dealers in the illicit trade. Let's proceed to South Sudan. Still in brief, South Sudanese President Salva Kiir has ordered the execution of any military officer found guilty of rape. Kiir said the application of the capital punishment was a way to free the country of bad elements. In a statement, Kiir said, and I quote, "Those who are doing unlawful acts, raping women and girls, this is not the policy of the government. The body of a woman cannot be taken by force. Let us do one thing. We get rid of bad elements amongst us and we remain clean, pure, and perfect." He was speaking in the River State while addressing a gathering of religious faithful marking the 100th-year anniversary of the Episcopal Church of Sudan and South Sudan. President Kiir's visit was the first outside the capital, Juba, since the country gained independence. Let's now make our next stop in Egypt, where Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has applauded the dignity of the national football team, calling them champions despite painfully losing the African Cup of Nations final 2-1 to Cameroon. President al-Sisi expressed his great appreciation to the players on their dignified performance in Gabon. Sisi said in a statement, and I quote, "Despite the result of the game, the national team has won the appreciation of the entire Egyptian people and the respect of all football fans around the world." Let's proceed to Liberia, where Liberia's President Helen Johnstone's leave has ordered a 60-day ban on foreign travel for governmental officials to curb the country's depleted foreign currency reserves, according to a statement issued by the President's office over the weekend. The measure applies to all ministers and the heads of government bodies, their deputies and assistants. The statement further stated exceptions will only be granted by the President following a one-on-one meeting with the official requesting travel, and if it is determined that such travel is of utmost imperative to the national interest. The statement equally deplored an alarming situation of capital flight. However, critics say officials aligned to the President are responsible because they routinely send huge sums of money overseas. Let's move over to Kenya, where could Kenya finally be starting to see the making of an industrial revolution all of its own? Will the country finally become an industrial regional powerhouse regionally? All these are pertinent questions that needs to be answered. Let's listen to this report.
Weeks after the official launch of Volkswagen's new local assembly plant in Thika, the first locally assembled units are finally in the showrooms. The move being the latest attempt by motor vehicle dealer DT Dobi to wrest market share from used car sellers, who account for about 80% of total vehicle sales in Kenya. President Uhuru Kenyatta announced the signing of a deal that will see the return of French company Peugeot's assembly plant in Kenya after a decade-long absence.
Very few Kenyans are strangers to Peugeot. It is a brand that has been with us since independence.
The company has pumped in 1.2 billion shillings into the project and hopes to employ 200 people to help roll out its first Kenyan-assembled Peugeot 508 in June this year.
And we have decided to step forward with the assembly of cars here.
Investment in other areas of manufacturing also appears to be rebounding. Kenya's manufacturing output grew by 3.5% in 2016. Wrigley, the American confectionery conglomerate, invested 5.8 billion shillings in a plant in Machakos, while Volkswagen Group, the world's largest car manufacturer, started production at its Thika plant late last year. Despite analysts predicting a sluggish economic year due to the upcoming general elections and central bank predicting 5.7% growth in 2017, down from 5.9% in 2016. Things could be looking up for the manufacturing industry.
Proceeding to South Korea, President Park Geun-hye has submitted a letter of opinion to Korea's constitutional court denying all the accusations against her in the impeachment trial. This came from President Park's legal representative on Sunday and marks the first time the president has presented her opinion to the court. Let's listen to these words.
President Park Geun-hye has submitted a letter of opinion to Korea's Constitutional Court denying all accusations against her in the impeachment trial. This came from President Park's legal representative on Sunday and marks the first time the president has presented her position to the court. The letter reportedly says she was not aware of influence peddling by her close friend Choi Soon-sil in nominating key government posts, and that she has not leaked any confidential state documents except for her speeches. However, President Park did not submit any documents related to her whereabouts during the so-called missing 7 hours on the day of the 2014 Seoul-ho ferry disaster. On a separate note, the independent counsel team is seeking to interrogate the president in person this week. If it goes ahead as planned, it will mark the first time ever for prosecutors to question a sitting Korean leader as a suspect.
Finally, in the United States of America, President Donald Trump used Twitter to attack the federal judge who blocked his travel ban on Capitol Hill. Mr. Trump's latest comment defending Russian President Vladimir Putin are causing a stir among fellow Republicans. Let's listen to this report.
Thousands of people marched Saturday to Mr. Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort to protest his executive order on Capitol Hill. Mr. Trump's latest comments defending Russian President Vladimir Putin are causing a stir among fellow Republicans. The president seemed to say the U.S. is no different than Putin when it comes to killing. Major Garrett is at the White House. Major, good morning.
Good morning. Intentionally or not, President Trump has revived deep-seated Republican anxieties of his view of the Russian president when Mr. Trump essentially implied there's no difference between the United States and Russia when it comes to the treatment of dissidents, journalists, or human rights activists.
If Russia helps us in the fight against ISIS, which is a major fight, and Islamic terrorism all over the world, major fight, that's a good thing. Will I get along with them? I have no idea.
President Trump excused the rampant allegations of political jailings and assassinations against Russian President Vladimir Putin by implying the U.S. was no better.
Putin's a killer. A lot of killers. We got a lot of killers. Why, you think our country's so innocent?
The president appeared to link Putin's human rights violations to America's 2003 invasion of Iraq.
Take a look at what we've done, too. We've made a lot of mistakes. I've been against the war in Iraq from the beginning.
Yeah, mistakes are different than...
A lot of mistakes, okay, but a lot of people were killed. So a lot of killers around, believe me.
Republicans, still uncertain about Mr. Trump's approach to Russia, reacted harshly.
He's a thug. He was not elected in a way that most people would consider a credible election. The Russians annexed Crimea, invaded Ukraine, and mess around in our elections. I don't think there's any equivalency between the way the Russians conduct themselves and the way the United States does.
In a radio interview during the halftime of the Super Bowl, Mr. Trump was asked if he needed to or wanted to clarify his remarks about Russian President Vladimir Putin. Nora, the president said he had nothing to explain.
And that's where we draw the curtains into today's edition of Presidential Activities. But before we leave, let's revisit the major stories. Sahel regional leaders have resolved to set up a joint counter-terrorism force to tackle jihadist attacks. The decision was made on Monday, February 6th, when the group of 5 leaders of the region gathered for a summit in Bamako, Mali. And in Liberia, Liberia's President Helen Johnson Sirleaf has ordered a 60-day ban on foreign travel for government officials to curb the country's depleted foreign currency reserves. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go away. Do stay on Afrique Media for more news.